Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real. The world, it's not a kind place. It doesn't slow down. It doesn't say, hey, you've had a tough day, let me take it easy on you. No, it'll hit you in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit. And if you're not mentally strong, if you're not mentally armed, you won't just fall, you'll stay down. But here's the truth. Mental strength is not something you're born with. It's something you build. Brick by brick, day by day. Through pain, through discipline, through fire, you want to rise, you want to lead, you want to stop surviving and start living. Then you better learn how to get your mind right. Let me show you how. Let's start with the truth most people avoid. Growth does not live in the soft and easy places. Growth doesn't show up when everything's going your way. No. Growth visits you when your back's against the wall, when the lights go out and the crowd walks away. It visits when you're tired, uncertain, and still have miles to go. That's when character gets revealed. That's when the real work begins. And that's when you've got to make a decision. Not a comfortable one, not an easy one, but a decision to rise, to endure, to keep moving forward even when your knees are shaking. You see, we live in a world that praises comfort, rewards ease, and sells the illusion that success should feel good all the time. But let me tell you something. The path to greatness is paved with moments of deep discomfort. Mental strength doesn't come from avoiding the fire, it comes from walking through it. You don't become strong by dodging the storm. You become strong because you survived it. Discomfort is not the enemy. Discomfort is the teacher. It's the fire that refines you. When life stretches you beyond your limits, when it breaks your routines, when it takes away your sense of control, that's when it's giving you the opportunity to rise. That's when it's giving you the tools to build something greater inside yourself. That's when the layers of weakness begin to peel back, revealing something powerful underneath. But most people, they run. They run from pain, from fear, from the unknown. They wait. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect feeling, the perfect conditions. Let me be clear, those moments don't exist. There is no such thing as ready. You think those who achieved greatness waited until they were ready. No, they moved in the storm. They acted before the fear faded. They stood tall when everything inside them screamed to sit down. They didn't wait to feel brave. They became brave by showing up. Think of the legends, the champions, the innovators, the leaders who changed the game. They weren't handed strength. They weren't born with courage. They earned it. They were thrown into the fire and chose to stand in it. They got knocked down, rejected, dismissed, overlooked, and still they rose. Why? Because they made discomfort their ally. Michael Jordan, he didn't begin as a champion. He was cut from his high school basketball team. Let that sink in. One of the greatest to ever touch the game. Told he wasn't good enough. Most would have quit right there. But he didn't. He turned that pain into fuel. He went back to the gym, not to cry, but to grind. Not to blame, but to build. That rejection, it didn't stop him, it shaped him. It lit a fire so hot it burned through every obstacle in his path. You've got to ask yourself, what are you doing with your rejection? What are you doing with your failure? Are you using it to fuel your journey, or are you letting it chain you to your comfort zone? Comfort zones are the silent killers of dreams. They're cozy, they're familiar, they feel safe. But don't be fooled. That safety is a trap. It's a cage dressed up as peace. It whispers, stay here. Don't risk it. Don't try too hard. Don't stand out. And if you listen to that voice long enough, you'll look up one day and realize you've built a life smaller than your potential, smaller than your calling, smaller than your purpose. You've got to break out. You've got to learn to be uncomfortable on purpose. You've got to train your mind to endure what your body wants to avoid. Every time you step into discomfort, you're taking a chisel to the stone around your potential. You're carving out strength, discipline, and resilience. You're building something no one can take from you. It's not about being fearless. It's about doing it afraid. It's about walking into the unknown with trembling hands and a steady spirit. It's about knowing that everything you want is on the other side of discomfort and refusing to let fear stand in your way. You think warriors don't feel fear. You think champions don't feel doubt. Of course they do, but they move anyway. That's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. That's what separates the ones who wish from the ones who work. When the alarm clock goes off and the bed is warm, they get up. When the workout hurts and the body begs for rest, they push through. When rejection comes knocking, they answer with determination. When failure shows up, they don't fold. They learn, they adjust, they grow. The strongest minds aren't the ones that never feel pain. They're the ones that refuse to be ruled by it. They've been through the fire and refuse to come out empty-handed. They've learned to smile in the storm, not because they enjoy it, but because they know what it's building inside of them. So the question isn't whether discomfort will come, it will. Life guarantees it. The question is, what will you do when it comes? Will you run or will you rise? Will you complain or will you commit? Will you fold or will you fight? You were not made for a life of ease. You were made for purpose, for strength, for impact. And that kind of life, one that echoes long after you're gone, can't be built in a comfort zone. It's built in the struggle, in the pain, in the grind. It's built when you show up for yourself every single day, even when no one's watching, even when no one believes in you, even when your body says no, but your soul whispers, keep going. So keep going. Let the discomfort come. Invite it in, use it, let it teach you, mold you, sharpen you. Let it show you what you're made of. Let it stretch your limits until you realize you don't have any. Because when you get comfortable being uncomfortable, there is nothing that can stop you. Let's talk about what truly breaks people. Not failure, not rejection, not even pain. No, what really breaks people is this endless, soul-draining obsession with things they have no control over. They spend days worrying about the opinions of others, nights replaying the past, entire seasons of life trying to change circumstances they were never meant to hold. And in the process, they lose the one thing they were meant to master, themselves. You can't control the wind. You can't stop the rain. You can't force someone to see your worth. You can't undo what's already been done. Life will hit you with storms you never saw coming, and if you waste your strength trying to push back the tide, you'll drown in frustration, bitterness, and anxiety. That's a losing battle. That's a fight that ends with you empty. But there's a different fight, a higher one that says, I don't need the world to bow to me. I need to master my response to it. Because when life gets loud, when chaos rolls in like thunder, when everything seems to be slipping through your fingers, that's the moment you dig in. That's when you stop reaching for things out there and start reaching deep inside. That's when you remind yourself, I may not control the storm, but I control my ship. You own your attitude. You own your effort. You own your choices. No matter what happens around you, no one can take those from you, not unless you hand them over. You don't get to decide how people treat you, but you always decide how you treat them. You don't choose the obstacles that show up on your path, but you do choose how to climb over them. That's power. That's freedom. There's a story, real raw, of a Navy SEAL who once said, when everything around you goes to hell, the only thing you own is your calm. Sit with that. Because that calm, that stillness in the storm, that strength most people never tap into. It's not the absence of fear. It's the refusal to be ruled by it. It's looking chaos in the face and saying, you won't break me. I choose who I become today. The world will throw everything it has at you, pressure, loss, injustice, confusion. And you will be tempted to scream at it, fight it, rage against the things you can't fix. But growth comes when you choose something better, when you stop trying to control the uncontrollable and start mastering the only battlefield that matters, your mind, your spirit, your response. Mental strength isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's quiet, disciplined, grounded. It shows up in the way you breathe when others are panicking. It's in the decision not to lash out when someone disrespects you. It's in the way you wake up and keep going, even when the odds are stacked against you. Not because everything is okay, because you've learned to anchor yourself in what you can control. Blame is easy. Complaining is easy. Saying, if only they had treated me better, or if only things were different, is easy. But easy doesn't build resilience. Easy doesn't raise champions. Easy doesn't change lives. What changes lives is owning your peace, not theirs, yours. saying, no matter what happens, I will choose integrity, I will choose effort, I will choose how I carry myself. That's real strength. It's the kind that can't be shaken because it's not tied to the external, it's internal. Rooted, deep. So deep that even when the winds howl and the waters rise, you don't collapse, you stand. Maybe you tremble, maybe you bend, but you don't break. And when you learn this, truly learn it, you stop wasting time trying to bend the world to your will. You stop trying to make people understand or change or validate you. You stop chasing what was never yours to hold. And instead, you double down on what is yours, your peace, your focus, your purpose. The people who rise, who last, who leave a mark that echoes. They're not the ones who had control of everything. They're the ones who learned how to let go. They're the ones who mastered surrender without losing power. Who knew how to walk through fire without being consumed by it. Because they didn't tie their identity to the fire. They tied it to their fireproof spirit. You've got that same spirit. It's in you. But you've got to stop handing your peace to the chaos. Stop letting circumstances dictate your worth. Stop living like you're powerless in a world that gave you every tool you need to stand tall. Control what's yours. Let go of the rest. The storm may not stop, but you'll find your calm. And when you do, nothing, not failure, not loss, not criticism, can move you from it. Listen to me. Really listen. There's a moment in every person's life when the feeling fades. The fire of motivation flickers out. The hype dies down. The applause stops. And you're left standing in silence with nothing but your will, your choices, and the mirror. That's the moment that separates the dreamers from the doers. That's where the real work begins. Because discipline is not glamorous, it's not loud. It doesn't post on social media. Discipline shows up when nobody's clapping. It wakes up before the sun rises. It laces up its shoes when the body aches. It hits start when everything inside screams stop. And it doesn't ask how you feel about it. Discipline doesn't care about your mood. It's loyal to the mission. Emotion is like the weather, up one day, down the next. It shifts with the winds of doubt, fatigue, disappointment, and fear. You can't build a legacy on that. You can't raise greatness from a foundation that cracks every time the sky gets dark. You build it with decisions, with habits, with showing up again and again and again. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't want to. Especially when your bones are tired, your heart is heavy, and your mind whispers, not today. That's the exact moment when discipline stands tall. It's not about feeling like it. It's about being about it. Being about your goals. Being about your standard. Being about your purpose. Too many people are chasing a feeling, waiting for inspiration to strike, waiting to feel ready. Let me tell you something. You'll wait forever if you let emotion drive the car. Because emotions lie. They say, sleep in. They say, take it easy. They say, you've done enough. But discipline whispers, get up, keep going. One more rep, one more page, one more step. You don't need to feel like it to change your life. You need to be committed. You need to show up when it's hard. Show up when it's boring. Show up when the reward is nowhere in sight. Because that's the grind that builds champions. That's the sweat that sharpens your edge. There's a man, his name is known by some, feared by others. He ran 100 miles on broken feet. Not because he was superhuman. Not because he felt good. No, because his mind was stronger than his body. His discipline outworked his emotion. His purpose outshouted the pain. That kind of strength isn't born, it's built. In the quiet, in the dark. In the moments where quitting would be easier, he made a choice, and then another, and another. Until discipline wasn't just something he did, it became who he was. Now you might hear that and say, that's crazy. But it's not. That's what happens when discipline becomes your fuel. When it's no longer about motivation. When it's no longer about being excited or inspired. When it becomes your identity, your code. You stop asking for permission from your feelings. You stop negotiating with comfort. And here's the truth. Your goals don't care how you feel. Your potential doesn't care about your mood. Life will not slow down because you're tired. It won't pause because you had a long day. It keeps moving. And if you want to keep up, if you want to rise, you've got to train yourself to move no matter what. Discipline is freedom. You think it's restriction, but it's not. It's the key to everything you say you want. You want peace. Build habits. You want confidence. Keep promises to yourself. You want success. Stay consistent when it's inconvenient. Discipline is the path to all of it. You show me someone who's disciplined, and I'll show you someone who can handle life's punches. I'll show you someone who doesn't break when it gets hard. I'll show you someone who doesn't just start the race, they finish it again and again. And you have that in you. You have the ability to override your feelings, to train your mind to lead your body, to show up for yourself even when the world's not watching. Especially then, because the grind doesn't always reward you immediately. Sometimes it takes weeks, months, years. But every drop of sweat, every early morning, every no to temptation, it all adds up. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize you didn't get here because you felt like it. You got here because you were disciplined enough to do it anyway. So don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for someone to remind you why you started. Be the reminder. Be the reason. Be the force. The world doesn't need more hype. It needs more people who do the work with or without it. Because at the end of the day, it won't be your feelings that define your story. It'll be your discipline. Some of you are walking through life carrying a story that doesn't belong to you. A story that someone else handed you. A story you picked up along the way, through pain, rejection, failure, or shame, and somewhere along the line, you started believing it was true. You started believing you were the problem. You started repeating those same words in your head like a broken record. I'm not good enough. I always mess up. I'm a failure. I'm not smart. I'll never be anything. And before you knew it, those words became your identity. But let me tell you something that could change everything. You are not the words that broke you. You are not the worst things you've done. You are not what they did to you. And you are not that voice in your head that keeps trying to convince you otherwise. That voice, that script, it's poison. And the most dangerous part of it is this: you wrote it, maybe not with intention, maybe not with clarity, but every time you chose to believe you couldn't, every time you gave up too early, every time you let someone else's opinion become your truth, you were writing a story that was never meant to define you. You took moments and turned them into your whole identity. You took wounds and called them permanent. But here's the power you've been forgetting. You can rewrite it. That's right. You can flip the page and pick up the pen. You can choose a new narrative. One rooted not in fear, not in shame, but in truth and strength, in the belief that you were always more than the world gave you credit for. You don't have to stay trapped in who you used to be. You don't have to carry the weight of every mistake, every regret, every misstep. The past is real, but it is not the ruler of your future unless you let it be. The beautiful, powerful truth is this: you are not your past. You are your potential. You are the choices you make now, not the ones you made when you didn't know better. Some people will never escape their story because they never challenge it. They let it play on repeat, never asking, who told me this? Why did I believe it? And what if it's wrong? But you're not just some people. You've got something inside of you that knows there's more. That whisper in your spirit, that feeling deep down that you were meant for something greater. That's your truth trying to fight its way through the lies. You've got to fight back. You've got to look that story in the face and say, no more. No more believing I'm less. No more shrinking to fit into a version of myself that feels safe but suffocates me. No more handing my future to a version of my past that doesn't even know who I've become. You've grown, you've endured, you've survived storms that tried to drown you, and you're still here. That means something. That means there's still ink left in your pen. That means you've still got time to shift the plot, to change the ending, to become the kind of person you used to admire but never thought you could be. You know what every strong mind has in common? They didn't accept the first draft of their story. They didn't stop writing just because chapter 1 was messy. They didn't let pain have the final word. They took their wounds and turned them into wisdom. They took their scars and used them as reminders of what they've overcome. They rewrote the narrative, not because the past changed, but because they refused to let it keep robbing them of their future. That's your invitation. Not just to survive your story, but to rewrite it with grit, with purpose, with vision, to rise out of the ashes of who you used to be and step fully into who you were meant to be. It won't be easy. Some of those old pages will try to haunt you. Some people will try to keep you locked in an old version of yourself because your growth threatens their comfort. But don't you dare shrink. Don't you dare stop. You've got more strength in you than you realize. You've got the power to break cycles, to silence shame, to redefine what success looks like for you. The world doesn't need another person playing small. It needs you fully awake, fully alive, fully free from the chains of yesterday. So tear up that old script. Write one that makes your future proud. Write one that honors your struggle but doesn't get stuck in it. Write one where you are not the victim but the victor. Where your past is the setup, not the definition. Where the pain shaped you, but it never owned you. Because the pen has always been in your hands. It's time to stop rereading the chapter you hated and start writing the one you've been dreaming of. Your story's not over. It's just getting good. Focus isn't just a skill. It's not a preference. It's not some productivity hack you sprinkle into your schedule. No, focus is survival. Focus is your edge in a world that's constantly trying to dull you down. Because whether you see it or not, every second of your day, something is trying to steal your mind. Notifications, opinions, gossip, headlines, fear, noise. All of it competing to own the most valuable space in your life, your attention. We live in a time where distraction has been normalized, where multitasking is praised and stillness is mistaken for laziness. People don't even realize how fractured their mind is because they're constantly plugged in, always scrolling, always reacting. But you can't build a powerful life with a scattered mind. You can't unlock your potential when your energy is leaking into 100 useless directions. If you want to elevate, you've got to lock in. You've got to protect your focus like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your future is directly tied to your ability to concentrate, to commit, to silence the world long enough to hear your own thoughts clearly. Everything meaningful, purpose, excellence, legacy, it all flows from the same source, the ability to pay attention to what truly matters and shut everything else out. Look at those who achieve greatness. Not those who just talk about it, not those who flash success for a moment and disappear, but the ones who sustain it, the ones who become legends. There's a common thread: laser focus, not talent alone, not luck, but obsession with mastery, complete dedication to the mission, even when it's boring, even when no one is watching, even when the world is offering every excuse to take the easy route. There's a name that echoes in every room where greatness is spoken: Kobe Bryant. Not just for his talent, but for his focus. They said that when he stepped onto the court, nothing else existed. No noise, no pressure, just the work, just the moment, just the game. He didn't drift through it. He became it. He wasn't just playing basketball. He was embodiment of intention. He showed what it looks like to be so locked in that the world fades and only purpose remains. That's not something you're born with. That's something you build. That's a discipline, a choice, every day. And you have that same choice. You can let your mind be owned by things that don't feed your soul, or you can reclaim it. You can guard it like your dreams depend on it, because they do. You don't need to chase 1,000 goals. You need to focus on one, burn through the distractions, and pursue it like nothing else matters. Because distraction doesn't just steal your time, it steals your life. It keeps you from becoming who you were meant to be. It traps you in cycles of half effort, unfinished goals, and silent regret. You start things, but you don't finish. You have visions, but no execution. Why? Because your focus was never protected. It was given away in small pieces until there was nothing left for the mission. Mental strength begins with mental discipline. And mental discipline starts with what you allow in, what you give your time to,
What you say yes to.
what you ignore, what you refuse to entertain. You can't control the chaos of the world, but you can control what you let penetrate your peace. You can choose to lock in. This is not about perfection. It's about priority. Every time you sit down to work on your goals, you're going to feel the pull, the urge to check your phone, the voice telling you it can wait, the excuse saying you need a break. That's the test. That's the moment where most people give in, but not you. Not anymore. Because you're learning that success is not about doing a million things. It's about doing a few things with insane focus. It's not about how many hours you work. It's about how present you are when you work. Can you be here fully? Can you give your mind to one task without letting your thoughts drift to 10 others? That's where excellence lives. Train your focus like you train a muscle. Set boundaries. Create silence. Turn off the noise. Find the space where you can hear your thoughts, where you can think clearly, plan deeply, and execute precisely. In that space, you will find clarity. In that space, you will find purpose. In that space, you will remember who you are and what you came here to do. And once you feel that power, real focus, you'll never want to go back, because you'll see what you're truly capable of when the distractions die and your spirit takes the lead. You'll begin to move differently, think differently, lead differently, not scattered, but intentional, precise, unshakable. So guard your mind, direct your energy, master your focus, because the world may be chaotic, but your mind, that's your territory. And if you can own your focus, you can own your life. Most people walk around terrified of failure, like it's the end of the road, like it's some kind of death sentence. They move through life scared to take the shot, scared to try, scared to stretch beyond their comfort, because the idea of falling short feels unbearable. But what they don't realize is failure is not the enemy. It's the compass, it's the map, it's the fire that forges greatness. The ones who rise, the ones who stand tall after the storm, they don't run from failure. They walk through it and they learn. See, the world wants you to believe that if you fail, you're done. That if you stumble, you're weak. That if you fall flat on your face, people will laugh, they'll whisper, they'll turn away. But listen to me, the truth is everybody fails. Everybody. The difference is what you do next. The difference is whether you let it define you or refine you. You've got to stop treating failure like a wall. It's not a wall. It's a mirror. It shows you what needs work. It shows you who you are under pressure. And if you're brave enough to face it, to stand there in that mirror and say, all right, I see it. Let's go again. Then failure becomes your teacher, your mentor, your fuel. We talk about that inventor. Yeah, the one with the light bulb. 1,000 failures before he got it right. 1,000. Most folks would have quit at 10. Maybe 50, 100, and they'd start saying it wasn't meant to be. But he didn't see those failures as defeats. He didn't look at them and say, I'm done. He looked at each one and said, I learned something. This one didn't work, but I'm closer. That's vision, that's courage. That's what real strength looks like. When you fall, when you mess up, when you try and it blows up in your face, that's not weakness. That's life molding you. That's the process working on you. You don't get diamonds without pressure. You don't get steel without heat. So why would you think you're going to get greatness without some pain, without some failure? You got to understand something. Failure is not your finish line. It's your training ground. Every setback is setting you up. Every no is pushing you toward a stronger wise. Every time the door slams shut in your face, it's building a version of you that can kick it down next time. But that only happens if you keep showing up. You quit and yeah, it's over. But if you rise,